Welcome to the Four Bells, and here we are doing workout from home at number 107. Today, as we begin week 5 of our current squat mobility cycle, our strength focus is going to be on the movement that, in my opinion, probably has some of the greatest mobility requirements in it, and that is the pistol squat. So we are going to get ourselves ready for the pistol squat, which is going to be a focus of our strength day today. With these 3 things, we're going to start off with a basic goblet squat. Can be performed with a kettlebell or a dumbbell. We're going to be doing 10 reps. From there, it says bodyweight close stance squat. So close is subjective. We're going to see how close we can get the feet together in the deepest, darkest squat we can. And then from there, we're going to practice stability at the very bottom of our squat in the form of a bit of a ninja move, the deck squat. We're going to do these 3 things 3 times in the warm-up, and let's take a look at those 3 exercises. With our goblet squat, we're going to take either a dumbbell or a kettlebell, bring it up to the chest. However you like to hold it, you can hold it by the comedy moustache, you can hold it upside down, whatever works best for you. Either way, we're just trying to make sure that we kind of promote that vertical torso position as we descend down into our squat. So trying to get as low as possible. It is a warm-up. We're trying to set the tone for today, which means nice and low, really try to get ourselves used to that squatting position. The close stance squat, that closeness is going to be very subjective, and a lot of it's going to be based on ankle dorsiflexion, which, as we know, is kind of one of the big markers for squatting. If you've got really mobile ankles, you're going to find squatting a lot easier. So that could mean starting off with feet in my regular squat stance, and then in turn, moving them in just an inch. And of course, playing around with how close can you go? Can you have the feet together and still have that good squat position and getting all the way down to the floor? If you haven't worked it out by now, the flavor of this warm-up is trying to get us into the deepest, darkest squat positions we can, ideally with the closest stance that we can. So we want to practice that almost balancy position at the bottom, because we know the pistol squats are coming soon. So if we're doing our deck squats today, of course you can start off with hip width. We're going to squat down, tuck the chin, roll back, throw the plate, stick the landing, and stand up. And of course you can play around with bringing those feet a little bit closer. Again, trying to think about that close start squat, stick the landing. And of course, if you're a real ninja and you want to do it with just body weight, that is perfectly fine too. Either way, we're doing 10 goblet squats, 10 close stance squats, and 10 deck squats in the warm-up for 3 rounds. Strength piece is 5 sets, each set 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. Today, in our first 90 seconds, we're going to be looking at pistols. We're going to go over the only variation that we are recommending today, and we should be trying to make it as difficult as possible. We'll talk about how to do that in just a second. But depending on where you are with your pistol journey, we're going to keep the reps relatively low, because we're going to try and keep them as challenging as possible. So within our 90 seconds, we're going to do 3 to 5 reps per leg, left and right. So of course, find the leg that is toughest for you, address that leg first, and if you find that 5 reps is very doable on both legs within the time frame, cool, 5 it is. But if you find the pistol is very tough for you, then particularly as we're trying to make the most of this mobility component, maybe we bring those reps down to 3. From there, we get into our second 90 seconds. We're doing a movement where we're looking at muscular endurance, but really a sneaky way to not only develop the glutes, but also get some glute activation in for our pistols. We are looking at the hip thrust today. So if you've got a booty band, if you've got a band you can put around your knees, we're going to use it today. We're going to do our hip thrust for 20 reps. Let's take a look at both of these movements and how they pertain to today's strength piece. Today's pistol squat, what we're going to try and do is make it as hard for ourselves as possible. So of course, before I sound too totalitarian, easy for me to say, is that of course I'm going to show you this variation using just a post or a door frame or a door. But of course, if that's not available to you, you can use something else. You can sit back onto a box, use a TRX. But if we can, we're going to try and use this version today, because I want to try and make it as difficult for myself as possible. So when we're setting up for our pistol squat today, I want to be approximately about a foot's length away from the thing that I'm holding on to. So post, door frame, door, whatever it happens to be. And what we're going to do is give ourselves what I like to call like a little monkey grip. We're going to kind of feed our hands down and then use our hands to help us get up. So of course, as the sets go on and we get more and more familiar with our pistol squats, we're just trying to use the hands less and less. So we initiate just like I would in a regular squat, hips come back, knees track forwards, I'm going to allow myself to get to this bottom position, try and make sure that I can keep the heel down and that shin forwards. From there, on the way up, we are just going to use our hands to assist us just a little bit. We don't want to be turning this into a chin-up. It's also a pistol squat. So we are going to do 3 to 5 reps each leg. If 5 is super tough, bring it down to 3 and make them as challenging as you can. With hip thrusts today, we don't need to use a big weight or anything too crazy because we are doing 20 reps. It's a fairly high volume. So we're just trying to get a ton of work into the glutes to not only develop the glutes, which is a great thing, but also to add activation into our pistol squats today. So when we're doing our hip thrust, if you want to add a barbell to it, sure, feel free to do so, but of course be mindful of the bench height or the box height that you're using. Ideally, of course, measuring this on the back of me, we want to think just below the shoulder blades is where we should be setting up. So I set up, my shoulder blades just on the edge of the bench. From there, I want to have that 90-degree bend with the knee. I'm pushing the hips up to the ceiling, head is forward, pelvis is tilted up towards me, and I'm driving my knees into my band. So I bring the hips down, drive those hips up, squeeze the glutes, hips down, squeeze the glutes as hard as we can for 20 reps in our hip thrust today. The conditioning piece today is a 12-minute AMRAP, 720 seconds of joy. We have 4 movements to do. We're doing 16 reps of each of those, so kind of touching on a muscular endurance rep range for all of these exercises today. All you need is a challenging pair of dumbbells. That's all you need. So you don't need to have the heaviest pair of dumbbells in the world. You definitely don't want the lightest either. So we're going to start off with 16 dumbbell power cleans, working on hip hinging, getting those dumbbells to the shoulder. From there, we're going to bring the dumbbells down to the hips, where we're going to do 16 walking lunges with the dumbbells by our hips, 8 per leg. From there, bring those dumbbells back up to the shoulder, where we are going to do 16 dumbbell thrusters, so a squat to overhead. And last but not least, putting the dumbbells down, thank goodness, we are then going to do 16 squat thrusts. We've gone from vertical thrust to horizontal thrust. We are going to do these 4 things as many times as possible within our 12-minute AMRAP. Let's take a look at these 4 exercises. With the dumbbell power clean, it's very easy just to turn this into like an ugly bicep curl. What we want to do is use our hip hinge. That means pushing your hips back and using that hip drive to get the dumbbells up to the shoulder. What I'm trying to avoid is a straight arm kettlebell swing, because the dumbbells will come up and smash me in the shoulders. Keeping the arms tight to the body, you're going to do a little hinge, up to the shoulders, and that's our 16 dumbbell power cleans. Suitcase style with the walking lunges, we're doing 8 per leg. Feet are on train tracks, chest is up, a nice big step out, touching the back knee gently to the floor as we do 16 walking lunges. And of course, if you're in a small space and you can't do walking lunges in place is perfectly fine. With our dumbbell thrusters, very simple, we want to be in that front squat position. Elbows up slightly, which means the end of the dumbbell is going to be up slightly. I perform a nice deep squat. You use that leg drive to go overhead, back to the shoulders, squat, drive overhead, back to the shoulders, 16. Not squat thrusters, easy for me to say. In the last exercise in our AMRAP, or in every round anyway, the squat thrust, we get to put the dumbbells down finally. With the squat thrust, very simple. I squat, hands down, feet out, without the saggy hip and without bent knees. From there, we jump the feet back in and we stand up. Squat, hands down, feet out, feet in, stand up. It's like the friendly cousin of the burpee, without the push-up, without the jump. Don't say I don't care about you. In our conditioning piece today, it's a 12-minute AMRAP, 16 dumbbell power cleans, 16 walking lunges, well done brain, 16 thrusters and 16 squat thrusts, as many times as possible in 12 minutes today. Have a glorious workout from home and let us know how you got on.